Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to VidaneTV. It is NEP's night. Well, it's Thursday night in America, which means it's Thursday night in Canada, which means it's NEP's night in North America, baby. Thank you so much for tuning in here on a Thursday night. Thought I had a cool one-liner open to open the show up, but I guess we messed it up first try. But we'll get it sorted out here. One more race to go after tonight in this championship hunt, and it is a championship hunt to talk about a three-way dance, 1 point separating three drivers atop the post. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. on the call here tonight. 70 laps on the docket here at Kansas Speedway. Ron joining me, as always, here on Thursday night. Aaron Creed, how we feeling tonight, brother?
Oh, we're feeling good. We got two more races left. And how about this? We talked about it last week. We got to talk about it again. This whole points battle going into these final two races, it is going to be electric tonight and next week at Dover. Before we get to Dover, we got to talk about Kansas Speedway. Always a fun race when we come to Kansas.
Yeah, you can take a quick look at the graphic on your screen. Those stats fueled by RSAL TV. Just a tight points battle between Peters, Kibbe, and Daddio coming into this one. Two races to go. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. Grab a quick drink and a little bit of a snacky snack and follow along here with us. We'll take a quick look at the starting lineup. There you see John Peters up on the pole, Brent Roy on his outside, Ryan Messer, Kenny Kibbe, Brandon Uhouse, and Adam Henry up in the top six. With one race to go after here tonight, we've got three defending champions, three champions in this series going for the Season 6 championship trophy at the end of this one. This is going to be wild, Aaron. What's the strategy going into this one?
I mean, I think they're just going to have to race hard. I mean, then that's what we're getting ready to do here. Is the green flag is out. John Peters and Brent Roy on the front row, like you mentioned. The other championship contender we haven't talked about yet, Stephen Daddio, starting back in 11th, but I have a feeling, given his frequent podium results this season, we'll see him up there in no time. Bit of a short field tonight, 18 trucks in the field. Some competitors already getting into the whole, real racing thing. We got a couple of them down at Hickory tonight, tonight through the weekend. But right now, there you see, don't you love Kansas Speedway? They can sweep right down on there on the apron, almost touching the grass, and that's what Ryan Messer did. And he's going to take the early lead. Maybe part of strategy, once again, we were saying you kind of have to go all out because you have to finish ahead of your fellow competitor in order to gain the most points, going into Dover. However, you kind of have to be careful, too, and make sure you're there at the end. That it was a little surprising, though, that Messer kind of charged there and led that first lap, because that's a lap that John Peters did not lead. I don't think he's led a lap yet, so he did get that. He did get the pole, so that helps him out a little bit. Messer recording the fastest lap of the race so far, that time by a 31.1 second a lap, and Ryan Messer checking out right now for the time being.
Knows a thing or two about tight championships battles. Won the RBR Season Ocho championship by the tiebreaker with the amount of wins after he came up just a little bit ahead of Canton Woldridge. Had to win the bonus championship race in that season. Not quite mathematically eligible for this championship right now, but the man right behind him is that 09 truck of John Peters. Came into tonight as the points leader, 1 point over a tied second place between Kibbe and Daddio. You can see Brent Roy solidly in the third position right now. Championship contender, the number 4 truck of Kenny Kibbe there in behind as well. He is tucked right up to the bumper of the Tundra Kid. He's all over the back of that 26.
Indeed, Kibbe is trying to find a way around Brent Roy so he can get to John Peters in second. And Peters, among the championship challengers, he might be the hungriest to get that title, because it's been 2 years now, if we do the math. Well, I guess you could say 3 years, even though, it was the last time he won an NEP championship was in 2022. So it's been a while, and he wants to get back on that top step when we shut things down here for a little bit after next week. So right now he's kind of just riding there in second, keeping Messer into play. Brent Roy and Kenny Kibbe are behind him, but not really being too aggressive at the moment. The teams do have 2 extra sets of tires that they're given for today's race, 70 laps. You can go approximately 35 green flag laps on fuel. So again, we could see some strategy come into play. We saw that last week where some elected to make only 1 pit stop. So that could come into play once again here at Kansas. But right now, everyone kind of working on their long run pace, it seems.
Little side-by-side action between the 24 and the 6. Belke down on the bottom side. Johnny Miller screaming eagle up on that high side, trying to get around this racetrack and into the top 10. 6 truck currently scored in that 6th position. Scott McDonald, Ryan Salvatore in behind them. Dale Glessner there making up the top 10. And Steve Dadio, tonight's presenting sponsor, Dadio's Auto Parts, on board here for the 70-lapper at Kansas Motor Speedway. You can see that 99 truck is hooked up down on the bottom side. Not quite the qualifying effort they wanted in that camp, but they know they've got to get it into high gear relatively quickly. We're almost 10 laps into this one, and those championship contenders are still up front in the top 5.
Indeed. And yeah, there's still going to be a lot to get settled here as we see a lot of jostling for position mid-pack. And one of those drivers that is in that pack is Steven Dadio in that number 99. He's running outside of Cody LeBlanc in the 7. And we see Dale Glessner on the inside. We see Scott McDonald on the inside. And Adam Henry had a great qualifying run, but he's fallen back a little bit in that number 62.
Is he trying to catch a little bit of a draft off of Cody LeBlanc in that 7 machine? Just kind of out back, biding his time, holding onto the truck, keeping it in one piece. Don't forget, you can follow along at home with your favorite driver. Find out where they're running in the field with the wingnut timing and scoring. Go to VidaneTV/scoring, and that'll pop right on up. Let you know where your favorite driver is. Scan that QR code there on the bottom right of your screen as well. You can see a little bit of a gap here behind Adam Henry. A couple of other trucks, Dan Winter, Bobby Ship, Brian Ship back here as well. Not quite up to speed, it looks like, but just kind of hanging around in the back. Maybe they're hoping that once this sunsets here at Kansas, it'll kind of square up the racetrack just a little bit, and those trucks will come right around to them.
Could perhaps happen for sure, as we see Brent Royce still fighting off Kenny Kibbe and now Jeffrey Bradway for that 3rd position. John Miller coming into the picture as well in the number 6. So a lot of great racing going on, despite quite a few drivers being missing on this evening. Like we mentioned, Corey Casagrande, Jason Ricker, all down with the past series. Joey Dwyerin's down there. I think this is the first race Joey's missed. I know Mike Hopkins was doing some golfing this week. Zane Farrell not here tonight. I think Evan Boyer was saying, I thought I saw him post on Facebook, he was a bit under the weather. So, yeah, hope to see everyone back, though, next week for the big finale at Dover, and I'm pretty sure we will. We're probably, I have a feeling we'll be pushing a 30-truck field when we go to Dover. But we're going to settle things here at Kansas. We're going to have some very intense competition going on here tonight still. Austin Belke in that number 24 now pulling up on the back deck lid of the 6 of John Miller. Belke's kind of our wild card tonight. Finished 5th and 10th in his 2 starts here, and finished 6th last week in Atlanta. And if you're a betting person on the net bets, his over/under tonight's 8.5.
Holding on to that top 10 right now in that 24 truck. You can see they're a little bit closer to side by side in behind. Dale Glessner in a 10 truck trying to take a peek down low on Ryan Salvatore in the number 12. Nothing there. Going to tuck back into the tire tracks. There you see Dadio in that 99 truck. He's made himself a couple of passes, moved on in to that 8th position. So he knows he's got to get up towards the front. Ryan Metzer holds on to the point right now. John Peters, though, in 2nd. Kenny Kibbe, championship contender there as well. He's in 4th. So Dadio, kind of the, I don't want to say the worst running championship contender right now because he's running 8th and he's moving up towards the front, but got to get a little bit more. We're going to have to ask Sal, or we might have to look it up ourselves to see just how we know these NEP championships are close. It almost wonders, it makes me wonder how many of these champions had to win the final race of the season just to close things out. I feel like that's going to have to be the plan. You're going to have to win here tonight at Kansas, and you're going to have to come home with the W next week at Dover.
Yeah, I have a feeling it hasn't been many. We've had a couple years where it's been locked up before we've gone to Dover. But Stephen Daddio is another one we were talking about a little bit earlier, that John Peters might be the hungriest to claim a championship, but Steve Daddio wants to win tonight at Kansas. And you want to know why? Well, he's the sponsor driver. It's the Daddio's Auto Parts 70 tonight. And he's finished no worse than second here at Kansas. Granted, it's only been 2 starts. But you know, he hasn't finished worse than second here. He has an average finish of 4.6 this season alone, and that's something where you're gonna have to. He's gonna be knocking on that door before the night is over. I have a feeling, given that it was very surprising that he did not have a great qualifying run. Because granted, it was in the Xfinity car, not the truck, but both of his last Kansas starts, he won the pole. So he's got a little bit of his work cut out for him tonight, and he's still only in about 8th spot right now. So he still has some work to do, but maybe some pit strategy will come into play, and we'll see him up there battling toward the front here soon. He's already on the heels of the 24 of Austin Belke, trying to steal away that 7th position.
And we know that 99 truck is hungry. That driver wants to get himself a couple more wins in the column. You talked about second place. You talked about runner-up. Steve Daddio in that 99 truck got himself about a half dozen second-place finishes before finally capturing his 1 win of the season here. Just to give you an idea, I believe there's 18 races on the NEP Season 6 schedule. You get 2 drop races. So your 2 worst results don't count at the end of the season. That gives you 16 races to count, carrying the 2, not counting the last 2. In any sense, 14 of those races were top 5s for Steve Daddio.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive right there. And that's kind of when you're a little too good, I guess you could say. That's when that whole drop kind of runs against you a little bit, I guess you could say. Because he's been there every week. And when you have, you know, top 10 finishes being your drop, that's that's crazy. He's been so ultra consistent this season, and right now he's gotten around Belke, and he's going to probably chase down 6th spot John Miller soon. Right now, everyone's kind of settled in for the moment. Kenny Kibbe was right there on the tail of Brent Roy, but he's kind of backed off about a car length or two. And has kind of just settled into that 4th position for the moment. We do have 20 laps out of 70 complete already, so the race is going by pretty quickly. And you know, we're more than halfway to halfway, I guess you could say.
Picking them up and putting them down here at Kansas Speedway for the Daddio's Auto Service 70 laps on the docket here tonight. And this is one of those great big kind of cookie cutter, almost super speedway racetracks. You can see these drivers have lots of different lines that they're able to kind of choose through. Some drivers are choosing to be a little bit more aggressive on the tire. You might see them kind of take 4 tires when they come down to take that pit stop. They know they've got the 2 sets of tires down on pit road. Couple of drivers up to the outside wall. Kenny Kibbe giving it just a little bit of a kiss. It looks like the 13 of Bradway got up there and gave it a scuff as well, but doesn't seem to slow the 4 car. That Nocturnal Sim Racing number 4 machine going to get around the 26 of Brent Roy, move the number 4 back in to P3. He's now 1 position behind championship leader John Peters.
Yeah, I guess you can call me a liar right there, because he was saying he was settling in there for a little bit, and there he is going by Brent Roy for that 3rd position. And I should mention, we were talking about the drops, how they factor into the points, but this is actually the last week that you can use a drop race. Next week at Dover, if you have a DNF or something like that, that's factoring into your final point total. So you can't afford to stumble in that race, or I guess you could say in this race either, because it's one of those deals where everything matters at this point. And I'm really looking forward to see how this goes down to the wire, not just the championship overall, but tonight too.
Absolutely. Everybody going to hope for a good, solid finish here tonight. Give you a little bit less homework to do over the next 7 days. And the one of the more challenging races I think I've seen to try and get yourself a victory at here on VidaneTV. We've been doing this for 5 or 6 years now, since 2020, since we started this. NEP at Dover is probably one of the most competitive races I think we've seen here, no matter what car or truck combo we bring to the racetrack, because almost all of these drivers from the Northeast, the East Coast, kind of see Dover as a home track. It's a 1 mile. It's kind of one of those quote-unquote big short tracks. So these guys are going to be wanting to putting on a show. They definitely want to come home with that victory, especially being the closing out of the final race of the season. Gonna be a barn burner here tonight with 45 laps to go, no doubt. But man, oh man, you're gonna want to tune in next Thursday night for championship night with the NEP Season 6 here at Dover.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. And that's the cool thing about Dover is, we're definitely going to have. I'm not even going to say we might have, because these points are going to be close. There's going to be at least 2 drivers, maybe all 3, still in the hunt for Dover, no matter what happens tonight. And the thing is, there's going to be, 20 some other drivers that are going to want to go for the win as well. And we've seen some drivers that don't necessarily challenge every single race that have the opportunity to challenge at a track like Dover. So that's another kind of thing to throw into the fold. I honestly, Paul, I hope that the points don't change too much, so then you and I don't have to crunch the numbers. Luckily, we got our Sal's help with that as they run. But, it would be nice to just say, all right, whoever finishes ahead of the other ones wins championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen that happen before, and we see Ryan Messer still leading here by over a second. It was about a month ago he claimed that Season 8 RBR Maritime Group Championship. Those guys running late models on short tracks. He and Tanton Woolridge were going into the final championship race, and Ryan Messer had some connection issues. Ended up dropping out of that championship race, and young Tanton Woolridge, he wanted the championship, but he wanted to earn it against a driver like Ryan Messer, so they added in essentially a bonus race, and they kind of continued on with the points, and the way it came down to it, at the end of the race, they tied between Tanton Woolridge, Ryan Messer. Johnny Miller with a quick time there, 30.935, so picking up as the tires get a little bit of heat in them, as is the track. But Ryan Messer ended up getting that tiebreaker by winning that last final race. So we can definitely see this championship, as tight as it is, come down to having to win, and we might have to work in some tiebreakers here next week. Luckily, Sal takes care of all that. So our Sal TV, Ryan Salvatore, and that number 12 truck hooking us up with all the numbers.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be interesting tonight still, though, as we continue to wind down. We're still only in the middle stages of this race. I know we kind of see most of them going single file for the most part. But we're going to see a new winner at Kansas tonight, because the Season 4 winner, Zane Farrell, Season 5 winner, Regan Parent, both not here tonight. So someone new is going to go to Victory Lane, the Kansas Victory Lane, that is, and it's going to be exciting.
Top 5 as they run: Ryan Messer, John Peters, Kenny Kibbe, Brent Roy, and Jeff Bradway. You can see Kenny Kibbe picking up the times ever so slightly, trying to get a little bit closer to the back bumper of the 09 truck. And as you can see, the top 5 relatively single file. They've got themselves spread out here 32 laps into this run as they cross the stripe. And, well, don't look now, Steve Daddio in that 99 truck moves himself up one more position. He's in 6th. He's got his sight sets on the back bumper of that 13 truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to John Miller in the 6th. He was running 6th, but he's now kind of off the pace according to scoring. So he is back out there. I don't know if he made an early pit stop or something. I have a feeling that he just might have answered that with him cruising by all these competitors. I think he did make an early pit stop. He is just cruising in that number 6 now. So it's a little bit of strategy. Once again, we saw that last week occur for a few drivers trying to see how they can do things a little differently. And that's what Johnny Miller seems to be doing. He pitted before halfway, though, so it's doubtful he's going to make it the rest of the way on fuel. Things are going to have to fall in his hands to potentially. And how about that sun glare?
Oh, my goodness.
That's a little blinding right there. And I know some people that he might have wanted to put a little bit more tape on that front windshield, but maybe he's got the sunglasses in the helmet for sure. But yeah, I've been to some racetracks where it's like that, and some of the competitors they definitely let you know about it when they're going right into the sun. You need a little help from those spotters, and now that's another one that's probably off spotting this week, Keith Lord, and right now that's one of those things where you need to make sure you know where you're at when that sun shines right in your face.
Leader going to come down pit road with a couple of other trucks there as well. Championship contender, the number 4 truck, Kibbe, down on pit road as well. Austin Belke, Ryan Salvatore, Dale Glessner, Cody LeBlanc, all going to make their spots or their stops down here. And it's going to be interesting. We're going to keep tabs on that number 6 truck of Johnny Miller because we saw Brent Roy do that exact same thing at Atlanta last week. And he was able to get himself, trouble for the 10 of Glessner there. Pulled out of his stall, and it looks like had to call the tow truck as another group of trucks comes down. They're being led by Brent Roy. One truck almost misses the commitment cone. Man, oh man, green flag pit stops here at the midway point at Kansas, causing drama all over the place. It's going to be fun to try and figure out timing and scoring after a couple of laps here.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to figure out if we go green the rest of the way, are they all going to stay out? And gamble, because a few of those competitors, including Kenny Kibbe, pitted 1 lap before halfway. We said it's approximately 35 green flag laps they can make it on a tank of fuel. They pitted on lap 34. I don't know. So we're going to see how this all plays out. Look at Brent Roy beating John Peters just by a hair off of pit road, and he had the momentum there, and that's going to be a bit of a change toward the front. Stephen Daddio coming back out, still has a little bit of ground to make up as he comes off of pit road, and we're going to see if anyone can I guess you could say zoom in on some of the others. So we'll see what happens. Adam Henry in the 62 riding along right now in that truck, and it looks like he's getting ready to come down pit road too. So Johnny Miller in the number 6, we saw him, he pitted earlier, and I think he's going to cycle into the lead. So that early pit stop actually working in his favor for the time being. And I have a feeling it might work out for him altogether.
Yeah, solid run. It's going to be tight when it comes down to the end of the race. Might be a couple of laps short, but Adam Henry down on pit road. Johnny Miller was able to get that lap back that he lost by coming down pit road and take that Screaming Eagle caw all the way up to the lead. And you made mention that sun glare. I feel like Johnny Miller is the kind of guy that probably wears the aviators. He's probably got a set of Top Gunnies underneath that racing helmet when he's racing into the sunset like that.
Something like that. He's got a whole lot of things going on for sure, as we found out with his 3rd place interview a few weeks back. And also I know he did some of the commentary when you and I weren't able to make it the one night. So always an entertaining fellow, and he's out to a pretty good lead right now in that number 6 truck.
Yeah, and he's just going to hope this thing stays green here for at least a handful of laps. He's only been out there for 13 laps, so he does have a little bit of time to kill out there, and we noticed that there wasn't really too much drop-off, maybe about a second between that 30 or so lap run on that set of tires. Ryan Messer, there you can see about 2.5 seconds back. He's closing the gap just a little bit because he does have 10-lap pressure tires under that one truck. Kenny Kibbe going to be in 3rd. Sean Peters right in behind him. So that's big news. Kenny Kibbe coming out in front of John Peters. Brent Roy currently in the 5th position. You can see he's on the back bumper now of that 05 truck. Jeff Bradway in 6th, and Steve Daddio going to be in 7th. And you can see they're a little bit tighter grouped up in this top 7 or 8 trucks here after those pit stops. So we'll see what goes on here. The gap is shrinking just a little bit. Now 1.7 seconds from Miller on back to Messer, but you got to feel good for that 6 truck Screaming Eagle up there leading laps here at Kansas.
Yeah, and we talk about the championship, but there's a bunch of spots up for grabs behind them, and we know everyone that even if they're not challenging for a championship, they want to get every spot for bragging rights to go into the NEP off season and say, hey, I finished 7th in points and you finished 8th, or however it works out. So it's one of those things where we're talking about competition everywhere we go, and right now, Johnny Miller doing his thing out front, but Ryan Messer is closing in that number 1 truck. He runs in second. Kenny Kibbe actually is a position in front of John Peters now, so that could really factor into things. Remember, we said we only have 1 point separating them. If Kibbe finishes a position ahead of Peters, neither of them lead laps. I don't know how that's going to work because Peters did win the pole. So, yeah, that's once again, we're going to have to crunch the numbers. I'm sure last week Arsal let us know what the points look like during our post race interviews, so we may find it out before we sign off for the night, or you'll just have to remain in suspense leading into Dover.
Pass for the lead. Ryan Messer did get around the 6 truck of Miller. Is going to slide back into that second position. 18 laps now on the tires. You can see Messer driving off into the sunset. Looks like he's going to come up. I believe that's Bobby Ship off in the distance. I might be mistaken there, getting ready to go a lap down. But Messer in that 1 truck back to the point here with 27 laps to go.
That is one stubborn son.
It is.
It does not want to set. And yeah, I believe it is actually Bobby Ship. We have he's actually a couple laps down already. We have a few trucks a lap down. I don't know if some were running into connection issues or their trucks were hurting a little bit. Adam Henry currently running 12th. Brian Ship running 13th, and he's actually the last truck on the lead lap right now. Dan Winter, Jeff Brown rounding out the top 15. Jeff Brown going to try to have a solid run tonight with the shorter field. Scott McDonald's currently in the top 10. So, get to talk about some of these drivers we don't get to talk about all the time. And maybe they can have a respectable run. Right now, some of these guys are definitely probably praying for a caution so we can bunch things up a little bit.
Things pretty spread out here at Kansas Speedway. Messer, Miller, Kibbe, Peters, and Roy, the top 5. Jeff Bradway currently in that 6th position. You can see he's all over the back bumper there of the 26. Little bit of a gaggle there. And, oh, by the way, there's that 99 truck pushing the 13 of Bradway all the way up to that 26. He's going to go up on that high side. We've seen Daddy-O do that a time or two over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, he's going to try to make it work to his liking, but he wasn't able to. I thought he was going to swing there to the inside there on the trial, but he thinks better of it. He's going to stay on the outside line there, trying to find a way by these competitors, Brent Roy and Jeff Bradway. And right now, though, Daddy-O just kind of don't want to get into the wall there. He was getting pretty close. But ride with Jeffrey Bradway now in the 13 truck on Brent Roy's tail, and he's now going to look to the outside to see what he can do in that number 13. As we see Stephen Daddy-O continuing to just hound the number 13 for that position, and he might be able to take it right here.
That 99 truck is just a little bit quicker than those 2 trucks in front of him. You can see he's going to get down and almost get around the 13, but he's got the preferred line there. Not able to get around him on the high side, not able to get around him down on the bottom side, and that's frustrating when you're behind the wheel of the 99. You can see he's going to go all the way up towards the outside wall. Once again, multiple different grooves, multiple different lines you can utilize here at the Great Big Kansas Speedway. But that 99, he's looking out the windshield. He sees the championship leader. He sees the other contender out in front of him, and he sees valuable, valuable points sitting in between he and them. He wants to get around these 2 trucks, and he wants to try and make the workload a little bit lighter at Dover next week. But as doing all that, you got to make sure you hold on to the truck. You can't get that thing out of control. You can't get it sideways, and you cannot hit that outside wall.
I had a thought there, but that near miss right there just lost my complete train of thought. So, but Stephen Daddy-O is giving it all he can right now, and that's another thing. And now I remembered what we were was going to mention is, we don't know if these guys are going to pit again. They pitted right around halfway. This might be all they got. So you got to hope that you got that setup under you as they lap by the 27 of Jeff Brown. This might be all you got, so it's going to be crunch time pretty soon because those tires are going to continue wearing as well. As we close in, we're going to be at 20 laps to go this time by, but in no time we're going to be inside 10 laps to go.
And as this race gets later and later on to it, these guys get longer into the run. They're going to want to come down and get those tires. Johnny Miller finally giving up his lead lap position. He had to come down and get tires and fuel on that number 6 truck. But man, oh man, these guys know that if a late race caution comes out, there's going to be a lot of different strategies between everybody in the championship contention and then everybody on the outside looking in. Oh, a little bit of an abrasive maneuver there from Bradway in the 13. He's going to try and get around Brent Roy. They're side by side now for that position right in front of Daddio.
And interesting, they've all reeled in on the 09 of John Peters as well. I don't know if that's because they're faster or if John has been kind of conserving a little bit and letting these competitors kind of get to them. But now finally Steven Daddio pulls off that pass, maybe not so fast, as he did kind of drift up the track there. At the stripe he is ahead, but now the 13 on the outside getting a little more momentum again, as this is a great battle for that 5th spot going on.
And you can't fault Jeffrey Bradway for racing them hard. That's what racers do. That's why we put on a show here at VidaneTV and here in the NEP series. But you know it's frustrating for that 99 truck. He's racing for a championship. He wants to get around that 13. He feels like he's just a little bit quicker, but with the 13 utilizing that preferred line, just not able to get down and around and set his sights on the 26, on the 09, and on the 4 truck up in front. They're all still chasing Ryan Messer. He's out front by 2.1 seconds.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on here still, even though we've had a clean and green show. So Steven Daddio kind of has to reset and figure out what he's going to do next. And, man, and you don't want to push it too far because then you're not going to have anything left by the end of the race. So right now, once again, 3rd through 6th, a great battle going on here. So John Peters continuing to ride out there in 3rd, but Kenny Kibbe has actually gotten a couple seconds ahead of him. As there you see Kibbe riding, he must have just gotten by Bobby Ship there a little bit ago, but he's kind of riding there in 2nd. I think he's about 2.5 seconds back on the leader, Ryan Messer, who's really been the dominant truck this evening, as that number 1 is seems to be the truck to beat. He'd love to finish off this season with a couple good runs as he gets by Brandon Newhouse. Welcome back, Brandon. He kind of had a perfect attendance up until this season for the most part, but this year he's missed a few shows, and especially in the last few weeks. So it's good to have him back. He's not having the run he wanted to tonight, but good to see him back out, and I'm sure he'll be back to close out the season at Dover, and he's actually given Ryan Messer a little challenge there.
Yeah, just a little bit. Always good to see Brandon Newhouse. Haven't seen the Newhouse Racing Design instant replay here tonight. We've been clean and green all race long here. 14 laps to go. And the Daddio's Audio Parts 70 here at Kansas Speedway. You can see the 3 truck going to get back around Ryan Messer. A little cat and mouse game. 2 seconds ahead of 2nd place Kenny Kibbe. He's got a little bit of breathing room in front of and behind him as well. John Peters in the 09. He's got about 0.4 of a second now back to Brent Roy, who's up on the high side. You can see Bradway still holding off that 99 truck of Daddio. And just as I was about to say, Daddio kind of seemed like he was biding his time back there. He shot down low down on the apron to see if he could maybe get himself a little bit of grip, get a little bit of track position on that 13 truck, but to no avail. He's going to tuck back in to the tire tracks. I don't know if that 99 truck has any more forward movement. Not a bad run if he were to finish here in 6th, but you got to think about it. That's 6 points between he and the leader of the race. So that's more points you're going to have to try and make up in the championship race next week. And like I said, man, I feel like they're going to have to come out next week and win at Dover to come home with the championship.
Yeah, and knowing how closely matched these competitors are, yeah, knowing that you have to finish maybe 5 or 6 positions ahead of your in order to get the championship, even if you do win, that's a tall order. So that's right now. That's one thing that these competitors are dealing with. Here comes John Miller again in that number 6, going to try to unlap himself shortly and play that whole strategy game once again. And yeah, we're going to see how this all works out. Right now, John Miller is actually the first truck a lap down from the looks of it. If I was reading that correctly. So even if we do have a yellow, I think he'll get back on the lead lap. And Daddio, once again, working on Bradway.
10 laps to go here at the stripe. You can see the Daddios Auto Parts number 99 all over the back bumper of that 13 of Bradway. You can see he's going to try and push just a little bit, but you can see Bradway goes a little bit higher up the racetrack. That time up into the outside wall, scuffs it a little bit. The 99 finally sees an opening down on the bottom side. Did that slow the 13 enough to get a position? Doesn't seem like it, but the 99 knows he smells blood in the water. He wants to try and get around Bradway, move into the top 5, and see what he's got for those top 4 drivers.
Yeah, Daddio looked very ready to pounce there, as he should be. But, man, it just doesn't seem like he had just enough momentum there, which, as we know with these mile-and-a-half tracks, it comes down to momentum a lot of times and making sure your truck can handle when it comes to that and capitalize. And right now, they just seem so evenly matched for the most part. Maybe maybe the 13's better in certain places where the 99 isn't. The 99's better where the 13 isn't. But it kind of seems to even itself out. And there we see Daddio going to the inside again. But is he going to be able to hold him off? And it looks like he is now as he's pulling away from the 13. I think Daddio finally has 5th place secured.
That was one of those laps and those passes. I wish we had an onboard camera, because I feel like Daddio was just screaming at the top of his lungs and holding the wheel all the way to the left just to get around that 13 truck. Beautiful pass, gets around the 13, moves into the top 5. But oh, by the way, when they cross the stripe, there's 7 laps to go. He's got to set his sights now on that 26 Tundra of Brent Roy up there in 4th, and he's got a little ways to get up there. You can see John Peters up in front of him. He's doing a little battle side-by-side action there with Johnny Miller, who's trying to get back on the lead lap. Little differing tire strategy for the number 6 Screaming Eagle. And Kenny Kibbe there in second. He's got himself a comfortable cushion in front and behind. They're still all chasing Ryan Messer. He's going to cross the stripe for 6 laps to go here at Kansas.
I just got to say one thing, Paul. You've been in the real-life production business now for a little bit. You should know that, like, who the right competitors to strategically put that GoPro in there on board might be better as, but no, we'll have to get the on board for all 3 of those championship contenders next week at Dover. But Ryan Messer, though, is just cleaning house right now in that number 1 truck. This time by, we have 5 laps remaining.
High 5 from Barney up in the flag stand. They're all chasing Ryan Messer. That sun has finally gone down behind the horizon. There you can see it, a clean shot off of the number 1 truck. He's got a little bit of lap traffic to deal with, but other than that, a wide open racetrack for the current leader, Ryan Messer.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan it's going to be his race to lose at this point. I don't know, though. We were talking about how most of them pitted right before halfway. So we could still see some fuel strategy coming into play. Is anyone going to run out when it comes down to this last lap? That could be a disaster for someone that's in this championship chase. So we'll see how this all pans out. Johnny Miller still pinned there a lap down, and he's really having trouble getting by some of these lead competitors now. And that's probably going to hamper his run and his strategy right there, unfortunately. But Brent Roy's still trying to do his thing in 4th. Stephen Daddio's still trying to chase down Brent Roy, and Daddio's really sliding it through those corners now as he's trying to get every inch of that car or truck into play right there, using every square inch of this racetrack.
Yeah, and it's a great big racetrack. There's a lot of different lines, and these drivers are utilizing each and every single one of them here. 3 laps to go. Last time by Ryan Messer going to come up on Brandon Newhouse once again there in that 3 truck. Pick your favorite ice cream flavor, popsicle sticks. 2 laps to go here at the virtual Kansas, and Ryan Messer is out front by 3 whole seconds.
Yeah, Ryan Messer doesn't have to use every inch of this racetrack, really, because he's got a comfortable lead, but also because he's from Canada. He's probably using every centimeter of it. But right now, Ryan Messer is just ready to ride off into the sunset here in that one truck. Next time by, he will take the white flag to claim a victory that I'm sure he is really itching to get and closing out this season on a high note.
He's going to follow into the tire tracks into 1 and 2 of the U-House Racing Designs. Number 3 of Brandon U-House having some issues with that truck. Currently 2 laps down, but no pressure in behind. Kenny Kibbe, second place, 3.1 seconds back from our leader, Ryan Messer. He's going to go into 3 and 4 for the final time, and the checkered flag already in the hand of the starter. Bring us home, Aaron.
Ryan Messer getting the victory. That was an easy victory there, but behind him, it looks like it's going to be Kenny Kibbe taking home second, John Peters in third, Brent Roy fourth, and Steven Daddio in fifth position. He cooked that thing off, coming off of the checkered flag there. I don't know what happened there with the 99 truck, but this is going to really I think it might still be the same. We're going to get the final tally from Marcel shortly. Because John Peters got the pole, I think that gives him a bonus point, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's some points, bonus points for qualifying. Just taking a quick peek at the replay. I feel like the 99 was just frustrated with that run. I feel like he had a little bit more in the tank. As soon as he crossed the stripe, locked those brakes up, didn't even take the cool down lap, and got, it looks like he's headed right into the hauler. But Ryan Messer going to come home with the victory. We'll take a look at the results, at the race results, if we could push the right button here in HQ. There you see it. Messer, Kibbe, and Peters, your top 3. We'll talk to those cats here momentarily. Brent Roy going to finish in 4th, and Steve Daddio going to finish in 5th. One thing to keep in mind there, the top 4 drivers in the standings all finished in the top 5. Keep in mind, Brent Roy coming in at P4 on the point standings here. As we get down into it, Jeff Bradway going to finish in 6th. Austin Belke, Ryan Salvatore, Scott McDonald, and Brian Shipp going to come home with a top 10.
Kind of crazy when you can say that Daddio had an uncharacteristic night and finished 5th. So, so that's kind of interesting. But here's the rest of the finishing order. Adam Henry, last truck on the lead lap in 11th. Johnny Miller, unfortunately, the strategy did not work out in his favor. He finishes 12th lap down. Dan Winter, Bobby Shipp, Jeff Brown, Brandon Newhouse, Cody LeBlanc, and Dale Glessner rounding out the field.
Indeed, and we're going to catch up with tonight's winner by a country mile, just kind of driving off into that Kansas sunset. Ryan Messer, great to see you in victory lane once again. That was all in a night's work here on a Thursday night, yeah?
Yeah, that went pretty good. Good to kind of end a little bit of a slump that I've been in. So it was good to finally get another win. It's been a while in NEP since I was able to get one. I had a lot of bad luck this year, so it was good to get one. Didn't get any practice. I was a little late at getting to the big update that they had here, so I didn't get a lap of practice. So I was lucky I was able to qualify up front and get out to the lead early. And then that first run was my practice session. I kind of went wide open, and I was starting to lose the tire quite a bit. And then after the pit cycle, I was able to save it a lot better. And just I was super close on fuel, so I had to manage it. But overall, no, it was a really good race.
Picking up another win here in the NEP series, and we kind of talked about the tight championship battle heading into Dover next week for these top 3 drivers. You know a thing or two about tight championships, the RBR Season 8 championship that you and Tanton Woldridge fought tooth and nail for that championship. What kind of advice can you give to these top 3 drivers that are heading in to this championship next week?
I imagine it's going to be all take and no give. It'll be a good race to the finish. I think they were all pretty much tied up going into this week. I don't know how it'll change after Kansas, but I think it'll still be really close. I think they all finished one after another, so it'll be a good show for sure. I mean, I wish I could be closer and say there's 4 cars in it, but we'll try next year.
Absolutely. We'll give you an opportunity here, Ryan, to thank anybody that's out there watching. Who gets you to and from the virtual racetrack?
Just thank any of my friends or family that like to tune in and watch these. Shout out to them. You guys at Vidane for broadcasting, and the NEP guys. I know a bunch of them were away this week, but all the NEP guys that put these on, they've been a lot of fun.
Just watching a sick little burn out there on the start-finish line as the Screaming Eagles, the number 6 of Johnny Miller, gets himself one last little bit of TV time as he drives on by there in slow motion. But Ryan, great win here tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See ya.
Aaron, which way did you go on pit road? Are you with second place Kenny Kibbe, or are you with third place John Peters?
I'm with the second place finisher, Kenny Kibbe. The way it looks, this is going to come down to the wire at Dover with whoever finishes ahead of the other, most likely. But tonight, it looked like the pit strategy kind of worked in your favor to get in front of that 09 truck.
Yeah, I did a little bit. I knew it was going to be close on fuel with a one-stop strategy. But I was pretty conservative early on in the first run. So once I knew that I had a couple laps of like insurance, I decided to pit early, and then when Messer pitted too, just kind of happened to be the same lap that I was thinking about it, and that once I saw him go down, I was like, well, I'm definitely going to pit now. So did that, and that seemed to really work out. But really just couldn't go anywhere today. I mean, we got kind of caught up behind the 26 in the first run, and then once everything got spread out, it's like you just couldn't make any progress. It'd be like a tenth or two here and there, and then you give it back up. And I'm glad we were able to leapfrog those couple guys on the pit strategy, but really just couldn't make any progress after that.
Yeah, but with the second place finish tonight, how are you feeling going into Dover? I know that's a track I was going to say you enjoy, but I think we all enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, Dover's a great place. It is kind of, out of these last three tracks, is kind of the most dangerous, where there's some, things can go south really quickly at Dover. And out of the last three races, I'd say it's probably my second favorite. Atlanta was my favorite of the last three. This was my least favorite, and Dover's my second favorite. So I think we'll be pretty good. I really just wanted to maintain through Kansas because I just wasn't really sure how good I would be this week. And we pretty much did that. I think we lost like 1 point because I think John led a lap tonight. So that's really, I just wanted a shot. You got to remember, like 6-7 races ago, I was like 30 points out. So to be this close and have a shot, that's all we can really ask for. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going after it next week.
All right, we'll give you one more chance for tonight, at least, to thank who gets you to and from the virtual racetrack.
I just thank everybody at NEP for coming together every week for these races. You guys in the VidaneTV booth for the broadcasts. My teammates at Four Wide Weaponry, we all had really good runs, top 8 for all of us tonight, so that's pretty solid. Thanks to Steve in particular, because I believe he sponsored tonight's race. And cheers to him as well going into the last race. That should be really fun, battling with both him and John. And congrats to Ryan on the win. He pretty much had us covered, especially in that second run. And thanks to everybody who likes to ride on board with me on Twitch every week.
All right, a second place finisher, Kenny Kibbe. And Paul, let's wrap things up with our third place finisher tonight.
Officially, unofficially, as we leave the track, still the points leader by 2. John Peters in the 09 truck. Solid finish here tonight. Good qualifying run, up on the podium all night long, finishing in third. What's the game plan heading into next week?
Hey, Paul. I'd say it's pretty similar. We'll try to go to Dover, set up the pole, lead the most laps, win the race. Keep it that simple. That's what I was trying to do tonight, but couldn't really follow through on that. Hilarious work by Ryan Messer. Gets no practice, asks us in qualifying what he needs to know, and then wins the race and leads 60 laps. So great job, Messer. I probably shouldn't have given him control of the race in the beginning. I think I messed that up like I did at Atlanta, and dirty air. I don't know what it is. I'm not great at saving tires in these trucks for some reason. I think they save tire a little differently than I'm used to. So messed up my pit stop. All those things considered, to still have a shot at Dover, I will take it.
Absolutely, and just getting the stats from ourselves. Try to put the graphic together, but none of these buttons want to work. So we're just going to talk about the points as we close out the show. You're 2 points ahead of Kenny Kibbe. Steve Daddio 5 points behind, now in third. And Aaron and I talked about it before we came on the air, and even throughout the show here tonight. It almost seems like you're going to have to come home and win the race next week to try and get this championship in the bag. Is there really any other strategy other than that next week?
No, I think that's pretty accurate because there's enough of a point differential with a win over second that, you know, Steve goes out and wins the race. It almost doesn't matter what else happens. He's got a really good shot. Like tonight I led lap, got the pole, finished third, got 43 points. So it's conceivable that someone could still finish second and win, but I don't think you want to strategize for that. But I'm just I'm glad for the masses. We've just put them through some absolute snoozers of races in the last couple here. So the fact that we'll actually have a great championship battle in the last week at a good racetrack, Dover's a blast. Like that place a lot. I think it'll be really fun next Thursday.
Absolutely. We talked about Dover almost being kind of a home track for most of the NEP drivers, so everybody's always wanting to put on a show and come home with the victory. We got 3 championship contenders going in that could potentially leave with the championship trophy, and we got a whole rest of the field that wants to kind of come home and steal the spotlight, as it were, and come home with a win. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun to tune into next Thursday night live right here on VidaneTV. John, we'll give you a few more moments here with the talking stick. Anybody out there that makes it happen for you? Who gets you to and from the virtual race track?
I appreciate the sponsor of tonight's race. I think that was Steve Daddio. Thank you, Steve. Thanks to 229 for all the support, all the coordination. You guys for doing the broadcast. NEP, a tough break. We were missing about a third of the league tonight, but appreciate them hosting the race nonetheless. And thanks to everyone who watches, including my mom. Shout out to my wife and my dogs for letting me do this thing and hopefully finish it out with a bang.
Absolutely. One more race left in the season, Aaron. You're not going to want to miss it for sure.
No, definitely. I'm going to be here nice and early next week. I can promise that. And we're going to be ready for a really good shindig over at Dover. And I think we're going to have some fun in the Kansas Speedway Casino tonight, but we're also going to have some fun in the Dover Casino after it's all set and done next week, and celebrating a champion about almost exactly 1 week from now.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. It is going to be you do not want to miss that race or that show. We're live all over the place here tonight, Facebook, YouTube, all the social media outlets. Be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, a share, all that good stuff. Let your friends and family know, hey, we're watching a championship battle next week here at the virtual Dover Speedway. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. We'll catch you on the flip side, and when we do, we are going to be doing it live. Wrong button. Here we go.